The fact that we are not alone as Unitarians, so from the 1600s till the 1800s, I think we thought that we were alone in this world. And having brothers and sisters in the United States, it's sometimes it's so unbelievable. But it means a lot to know that we belong together and we have the same roots and different beliefs, but the same history, and that we are brothers and sisters in faith.
To welcome this morning the Reverend Adel Nagy, our guest minister. Reverend Nagy is from Transylvania and is this year's Balázs Scholar at the Starr King School for the Ministry in Berkeley, California. She completed her theological studies in Recsenyéd Romania in 2005 and served 2 years as an assistant minister and teacher of religious education. She presently serves as the minister in the Transylvanian village of Recsenyéd, which has a population of 130, 98% of whom are UUs.
Good morning. Good morning. What a wonderful Sunday morning. I am grateful to be here today with you in this sacred space, to sing and pray together, to learn and share. I am greeting you with the well-known Unitarian greeting, Isten áldja, God bless you. God bless you all. This academic year, I have been appointed by the Ministerial Fellowship Committee to receive the Francis Balázs Scholarship at Starr King School for the ministry in Berkeley. I am honored to step in Francis Ferenc Balázs, the first scholar's footsteps, and also in the footsteps of 17 other colleagues who, having studied at Starr King, today make a difference in the life and in the progress of the Hungarian Unitarian Church. The partner church movement was revived in the early 1990s by Reverend Judith Gellért and later the Partner Church Council. But the partnership between Unitarians in Pennsylvania and Unitarian Universalists in the United States goes back to the times of Earl Morris Wilbur and the American Unitarian Association. By the Second World War, most of these connections, official connections, faded, except for the 2 theological seminaries, Starr King and Midville Lombard in Chicago. Both of them were providing scholarships for Unitarian ministers in Pennsylvania. I believe you understood, and saw over the years the importance of this scholarship program. It is once in a lifetime opportunity for us Transylvanian ministers, for professional development, for mutual learning, and encounters that deepen our understanding of each other. Some people say life is a mere coincidence, that things happen accidentally. There's no meaning, there's no purpose. I believe what is written in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, to everything there's a season, a time for every purpose under heaven. So I believe that this was meant to be our time together. A time of encounter, a time of learning and sharing, a time of having an impact on each other's lives. I consider life a metaphorical pilgrimage, and I believe that we are all pilgrims. We are all seekers of love, truth, compassion. And as we travel, we encounter each other to enrich our lives and shape our inner selves. There are many encounters in one's life. There are encounters that we plan, and there are encounters that are unexpected. There are encounters that we are longing for, that we are looking forward to, and there are ones that upset us and turn our stomachs. There are encounters in our lives that happen only once, and there are some that are recurrent. And there are some encounters that we don't remember the aim, the purpose, nor the content of it. But there are some that leave their marks on us, and we carry these marks for years and years. And yes, I believe there are encounters that can change our lives. In Transylvania, the Sunday sermon is based on a reading from the Bible. Always, each sermon every Sunday. I know it is different here. I believe every story and every moment of life has a message. I also think that some parts of the Bible may not be relevant today. But there are some wonderful stories in that good old book that we can draw a lesson from. So the story today is from the Gospel of John, chapter 4. So Jesus left Judea and went back once more to Galilee. Now he had to go through Samaria. So he came to a town in Samaria called Sychar, near the plot of ground Jacob had given to his son Joseph. And Jacob's well was there. Jesus, tired as he was from the journey, sat down by the well. It was about noon. A Samaritan woman came to draw water. Jesus said to her, "Will you give me a drink?" His disciples had gone into the town to buy food. The Samaritan woman said to him, "You are a Jew, and I am a Samaritan woman. How can you ask me for a drink?" For Jews do not associate with Samaritans. "Sir," the woman said, "I can see that you are a prophet. Our ancestors worshipped on this mountain. The Jews claim that the place where we must worship is in Jerusalem." Jesus replied, "God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in the spirit and truth." God is spirit, and his worshippers must worship in the spirit and truth. So this great man, the master, as his disciples and followers often called Jesus. It's on his way to Galilee. And on this journey, he encounters the Samaritan woman at Jacob's well. The location is not an ordinary one, I believe, because the well and its water are the symbol of life, as well as the symbol of our spiritual values. And the encounter is also not an ordinary one. First of all, because Jesus was a known person. He was a rabbi. And the person he met at the well is a feeble, frail woman. And in this context, a conversation between the two is not very likely to happen. But if we dig deep into the relationship of Jews and Samaritans, we will see that they had every reason to avoid each other. There was a deep hatred. There was an ongoing and everlasting conflict between these two groups of people. It dated back to the times when the Jews were taken to Babylon, and during their captivity, the religious beliefs of the Samaritans were influenced by pagan elements. The Samaritans even built a temple on the Mount of Gerizim to worship God, mainly to emphasize the differences between themselves and the Jewish people. Religiously, they considered each other foreigners. So now you can see why they would have had all the reason in the world to avoid meeting each other. But despite all that, despite the hatred, despite the bad feelings towards each other, Jesus addresses this woman. He breaks down the barriers, the boundaries, the limits and narrow-mindedness of that age and that particular situation. And a conversation, a dialogue is started between the two of them. And as we find out from the story, this encounter is life-changing to that woman. She leaves her water pot, the symbol of her frail life, and goes all the way to town to spread the good news that Jesus was there. What is my point with this story? You must be asking yourselves. Let me underline, emphasize 3 aspects of the story that I consider to be important, to be useful, maybe, in our lives and in our partnership as Unitarians and Unitarian Universalists. First of all, Jesus in this story is able to go far beyond the prejudices. He breaks down the limitations of his society in accepting the Samaritan woman in her own reality. He's able to go beyond the differences, eroding the wall between them. He's able to see what is common in them, Jews or Samaritans, the desire for a decent life, for love and acceptance. And their encounter, their dialogue is based on mutual respect. It's based on understanding, on trust, and acceptance of the other. Secondly, he shapes her vision about faith, about the divine, about worship. He tells her that it's not the location, but the way we worship, the way we live our lives that is important. And the third aspect is the place, the well where they meet. And this encounter proves to be life-changing. Dear brothers and sisters, on this journey called life, we are travelers. We are pilgrims. We meet each other, and these encounters have a great impact on us. They change our lives. As I believe the encounter between Unitarians in Transylvania and UUs in the United States changed, I dare say, the course of church history, had an impact on the development of the Transylvanian Unitarian theological beliefs in the 19th century when Chenning's works were translated to Hungarian, and now ultimately changed the lives of those who have been passionately involved in the partner church movement over the past few decades. As many of you may already know, the Transylvanian Unitarian Church was born as a result of the Radical Reformation in the 16th century. 1568 and the Edict of Torgau are of great importance in our church history. Francis David and Prince John Sigismund proclaimed religious freedom and tolerance for the first time, not only in Transylvania but in Europe. In the early years, our church had great successes, attracting many people, members, and having over 400 congregations. We have around 150 today. Unfortunately, Prince Sigismund, the patron of Unitarianism, died very early, and some privileges ceased. Francis David was imprisoned for his beliefs, and following his death in 1579, the church entered a period of decline and could hardly resist the Counter-Reformation pressure. In the 18th century, when the seeds of Unitarianism were planted in the United States, the Unitarian Church in Transylvania was still struggling with the aftermaths of dogmatism imposed on us. Now you can imagine how life-changing it was in the lives of our ancestors when, in the 19th century, Bölöni Farkas Sándor, the traveler and the writer, traveled to a new world, to Pennsylvania, and found people sharing the same beliefs as he had. This was a long, long time ago. And many, maybe thousands of encounters have happened since 1831. Many lives were connected in the tapestry of friendship and partnership. And it's life-changing. It's so good to feel and to know that we are not alone. Let me quote a member of the Bremerton UU Fellowship, our partner church. Meeting the people in Transylvania and making friends there has been a life-changing experience for me. But there is still a question. How will these connections, how will these partnerships be life-changing in the future, in the days to come? Let me go back to the story of Jesus and the woman and say that no, we are not enemies. There's no hatred, there's no conflict, but there are differences, way too many, that can separate us. And when I talk about differences, I'm thinking of some stereotypes, such as wealthy Americans versus poor Hungarians, educated people versus very simple farming people, spiritual freedom versus traditional Christian faith, prosperity and growth versus demographical decrease, and sometimes survival. I remember some visitors in the early 1990s who visited Pennsylvania. They feared that we did not have soap and toilet paper. And I just found out in October when I was visiting my partner church in Bremerton that how disappointed Joel, one of our youth, he's 22 now, how disappointed he was when he found out that their guest, Carolyn, drove a Honda and not a Rolls Royce. So I am urging ourselves to go beyond these differences, to go beyond these barriers that sometimes can be obstacles in having a true, deep friendship. Can we break these walls? Can we break these barriers? I believe we can. But there's something we have to do. We have to sit down at the well of our common heritage and faith. Because the well is the symbol of our shared values. We have to sit down and approach each other in mutual understanding, in friendship, in trust, openness, and working together. We have to find what is common in all of us, what binds and weaves us together. We are all children of God, the universe, and the common values we share are our roots, our Unitarian history, our desire and passion for love, justice, equality, our commitment to the world, and a deep sense of responsibility. Let's sit together by the life-changing and life-giving springs and be open to accept and enrich each other's vision about faith, about the divine, about our role as spiritual, religious communities in this world, and all the good we can do together to make a difference, to make a change in this world. On this journey, pilgrimage called life, let us embark together. Seek the depths of our friendship, hold each other's hands, love and embrace each other, despite the thousands of miles and despite the many, many differences that sometimes seem to separate us. Robert Louis Stevenson said, "We are travelers in the wildness of this world, and the best we can find in our travels is an honest friend." So let